Well, hello everybody again. I'm Lane Tanner. Just to kind of give you a brief, little thing of, who I am. I just graduated this past spring from Marion High School, and I'm 19 years old. I was sitting at home and I was trying to think of a topic. And I was going through the internet and I already had a topic in mind, And I came across this headline. It said, "Dumb Laws in America." And I thought, you know what? That'd be something interesting to talk about. In Alabama, so these are pretty strange, I have to say that. But in Alabama, it is illegal for a driver to drive blindfolded while driving. I mean, come on, seriously. In Florida, now here's the one that really gets me. In Florida, it is illegal to sing while wearing a swimming suit. So next time, whenever you're at the beach, you better not be singing while you're wearing a swimming suit because you're breaking the law. In Michigan, which this one's a little bit more understanding, in Michigan you can't cuss in front of a lady. And these are all serious laws. They're all state laws, and you can go into the constitutions to look at them. They're all there. In North Dakota, you cannot fall asleep with your shoes on. So whenever you go home, if you ever live in North Dakota and you go home, you better not fall asleep with your shoes on because you're breaking the law. And that kind of brings me to my topic. My topic is gun control and how gun control actually worsens the situation. So in 1364, right before they were starting using, rocks and bows and arrows for, hunting and fishing and all kinds of stuff, they have this here. This was the first actual gun that was ever made. And this was called a hand cannon. This was actually made in 1364. It's actually just like the typical, guns today. It has your lever, your trigger, it has the flint, and then it ignites the black powder, which makes the ball go out. So that's a hand cannon. I think there's a really diluted way that people look at guns today. People are thinking that guns, are used for killing, and it's not. I mean, yeah, a lot of that stuff does happen, but it's just not accurate. People back in the 1800s and before, they would use guns for, hunting, for meat, for protection, and it wasn't uncommon for, if somebody was to come up to your house and try to break in, it wasn't uncommon for somebody to get shot, on somebody's premises. And my cousin, my cousin's neighbor, he was a big gun advocate. And a man came around his house one day, and he was trying to break into his house. So Fred, which was his name, Fred went out there, he grabbed his 9mm, he went out there, and the guy started running at him with a knife. So Fred pulls his 9mm and shoots him. And luckily the man didn't die, but guns are used for protection. Because Fred could have been hurt seriously there if he didn't have a firearm or something. Guns were very, very important to many Americans. Back in 1791, they created the Second Amendment. And you were talking about the second law of the land. This is the Constitution of the United States. This was a very, very important thing for many people back in those days. Gun violence really started in the major cities, like in Chicago and New York. It started in the gangs. The first actual gun restriction was actually before gun violence really started in the cities, was back in 1834 in Georgia. Georgia banned the use of all firearms, all handguns, excuse me. Obviously this was abolished after, 5 or 6 or 7 months because it was unconstitutional. Gun control, if you put it into perspective, it does truly make sense. You would think if you took guns away from the individuals, the gun violence would stop. That's what you would think. You would think that. But according to statistics, it's a little bit different. 89 people, and here's where we're gonna have to start getting all slobbery and tears going down our eyes. 89 people every day die from some type of gun violence. 89 people every single day. That was yesterday, it's gonna be today, and will be tomorrow. 89 people every single day. 31 of those people were murdered. 3 of them were unintentional. 55 of those people killed themselves. Suicide. I mean, this is not a gun problem. This is a psychological mental health problem. The USA, compared to the UK and different countries, 466 people out of every 100,000 people in the United States commit a gun crime. Every 466 people out of every 100,000 people commit a gun crime. And the United States is pretty lenient on guns. I mean, truly they are. I mean, you would think, I can go out right after school and go buy a gun. I mean, I can do that. I mean, and then you look at the UK is very, very strict on gun laws. I mean, you can't hardly even have a gun or own a gun in the UK. But the UK, to the statistic, is 2,034 people commit a gun violence crime out of every 100,000 people. That's compared to the 466 people in the United States. The police, which I love the police. The police are, I think, they're mistreated. I mean, it's really right. I mean, they're mistreated. 794 of those 1,000 police officers have a gun. 80 million Americans own firearms. If you look and compare the police to gun owners in America, the police have 11% error rate. Gun owners have a 2% error rate. So if there was a mass shooting that was going to happen, wherever, there would be 14 people killed before the police could get there to stop it. If a gun owner, law-abiding citizen had a gun, only two people would be killed in that mass shooting. It's just statistics. In 1982, which I found this really strange that they would actually do this in 1982, but in Georgia, 1982, Georgia required all the heads of households to have a firearm, which I thought that was kind of strange compared to, there's a lot of people that didn't believe in it, but that's what it was. And here's the really shocking part. 89% of all the burglaries stopped in America. I mean, in Georgia, excuse me. 85% of all gun violence stopped in Georgia compared to the United States, you have all these mass shootings. You have Sandy Hook, where it killed 20, innocent, 6 and 7 year olds, and 6 adults. And then you have the Cracker Barrel incident up there at Detroit, over by Detroit, Michigan, a couple weeks ago. And went around and killed a guy with his son and 4 or 5 people in the Cracker Barrel parking lot. I mean, this is just sick people, this is just really sick people. Gun control is good, as I've shown, up to a point. I think that if I was to go purchase a gun after school, that they should know exactly who I am. And I think if I was to go purchase a gun, it should be just as easy for me to go and get mental help. Gun control is good up to a point, but gun control worsens the situation in the long run.